I've been wondering some things. Matthew 25, 1 to 12 talks about 10 virgins waiting for the bridegroom. 5 took just enough oil so that when the bridegroom came, their lamps would be lit. 5 took extra oil in case the bridegroom was late. Well, guess what? The bridegroom was very late, and those who had taken just enough were out of luck. Their lamps had gone out. The ones who had extra oil were just fine, but they didn't have extra. They didn't have more than they needed. This story reminds me of my dad. Being a mechanical engineer, he made lists. He was in charge of things at the John Deere plant in Yakima, and he had to have everything done the most efficient way. Always. By the time I was a kid and could remember, he would say, he'd tell us, get in the car, we're going to so-and-so place. We better have everything we needed because we weren't coming back for it. We weren't going back in the house for it. We just needed to be there. So, by the time I was a young teen, it became my duty to get the foods ready for the weekend. We always went hiking, and so I had to measure the food out. It wasn't like you could put a package of freeze-dried food in front of, and for everybody. I actually had to measure the amounts of every last item because freeze-dried meals didn't happen yet. Anyway, one time, I actually liked to read the book a whole lot better than I did that. So one time I forgot the dried potatoes for dinner. We didn't discover that until we were up hiking 4 miles in, and Mother was just beginning to soak the dried foods for dinner when she discovered that we'd have no fish and no potatoes, and 6 hungry people. Well, when Dad came back from fishing, he had his hat full of something, and he was carrying it in his hands. He did this quite frequently with different things. He had passed another camp that was abandoned, and he saw that the last campers there were gone, and they'd left their potatoes, just enough for our dinner. God had provided. Jehovah Jireh, which means God provides. Another time we were setting up camp and a tent stake wouldn't go in. The rock he was using wasn't working, and Dad said, "What we really need is a hammer." My younger brother put his hand behind him on the log and said, "Like this one?" And there was a hammer. No, we didn't know it was there ahead of time. We didn't see it before. He found it with his hand. God had provided. Jehovah Jireh. Over the years, I've learned that it's really important to plan and do the very best we can to prepare, but when the unexpected happens, God will provide. Think about Abraham and Isaac and the great sacrifice. God provided. Or Moses and the Israelites leaving Egypt. He gave them a path and a way to get through the Red Sea. God provided a way out. He also then provided manna and water in the desert for 40 years. So how does this relate to now? When this isolation is over, what will we do? Will we pick up where we left off, or will we choose to change things that we can? Will we be ready? Ready for what? Now is the time to gather our ideas and listen to God. What is He telling us? Many of us have been blessed with ample resources, but some have not. Who will need help? What kind of help? How can we find out? How can we do it? I've found that when times are tough, we have more strength than we know. God has given us the gift of time to plan, to plan, to plan. And when this is over, we'll have to use our abundant resources, trusting God to provide direction and anything else that we need in order to do the work. Listen to Him in your spare time of isolation, whether it's walking or painting or singing or just sitting. However you pray, share what you've heard. Help Immanuel to be ready to serve. The time to plan is now.